Good morning, this is Chuck from Monocoque Metalworks. It is Wednesday morning. It's actually very early in the morning. I couldn't sleep, and so I'm here a lot earlier than I normally am. My task for today is to repair this damaged roof. This is looks like to be about a 66 Coupe tub. This is a tub that I purchased as part of a package of bodies and parts and things last year, and we are using this to assemble a 66 Coupe that we own that does not have a body. I actually have several E-types like that, so this is great. We're going to use this for that, and this tub's in really good shape. I mean, I'm sure some of you are laughing at that, but it's actually quite good. It does need floors and sills. It will need a boot floor, but it's going to need a little rust repair here. This is the factory paint. It has never been repainted. It's probably been touched up here and there, but it has suffered some type of major damage up front here, I believe after it was all taken apart. And I don't know what hit this up here. I was thinking maybe another E-type body thrown on top of it, but these creases are a little too wide. And then whatever did that, I think also did this. Obviously, this is from an AC unit, an aftermarket AC unit here. So this car was going to need at least a partial new firewall anyway. But we will be providing with this project a new firewall, a new scuttle panel, all the panels that are necessary for that. And the customer who's purchasing it will be fixing all of that. But they did not feel they could handle this. And so I am going to take these dents / creases out of this roof. The way I'm going to handle this, I'm going to start out by drilling out all of these spot welds, which is going to be a pain, but I'm going to have to remove this front support piece here. And then once that comes out, I should be able to somewhat pop a lot of this back into shape. Now, people see this on the internet and they always make all kinds of comments about stretch, and there is some stretch in here. But what's important to realize is there's no stretch here. There's just a teeny bit here. You've got some stretch here, but this metal is simply rearranged. It's just in a different place, and believe me, it wants to be back where it was. And so once I'm able to push up these kinks, I will be able, that'll somewhat kind of pop back into place. And then I'll just have to work these kinks here with a dolly and a slapper, a little bit there, up in here. And the rest of this in the big areas should kind of come right back into place. What else did I want to say about this? Oh. Yesterday, Brent made some contour gauges for the front, and I can see it sitting right here. Here are the contour gauges that he made. This is a 69 Coupe, and I know he's used all three of these cars to make this happen. That back there is a 67, and this is a 65. So he sent me some pictures yesterday, but I've never seen these contour gauges on here. So you're going to be seeing it with me. So there you go. There's how much we're off by. And here's the one for the front. And I may have to... He sent me a picture of this one. It was a train wreck. I think I've got it upside down, actually. There we go. Yes, that is going to go in there in some way. Let me see. It's early, so I'm doing this movie by myself. Yeah, so we are way off. But we are going to pop right back in here, and these things are going to fit like a glove, hopefully by the end of the day today. So that's today's project. I'm going to post this as a challenge to myself, because once I post it, you're going to be expecting to see what happens next. So wish me luck, and I'll check back later on. Okay, it's been about an hour and I've gotten this piece out. That didn't come out with too much difficulty. Drilled all those spot welds out, and of course we'll straighten this piece out and it'll be plug welded back in with the same holes. But just getting this out, I can already feel that this wants to come back. So I'm feeling a lot better about this already. And I'm ready to start trying to push it back. I'm gonna have to scrape some of the junk off the inside first, because unlike a 2+2 on a coupe, the headliner is glued directly to the underside of the roof panel. So I'd like to get some of this junk off there so I can work. All right. Okay. Now we have spent about a half an hour, not too much time, with a floor jack, a piece of wood coming up, a big rubber pad, and just pushed a lot of this up. And then I've also used, you can see, a leather covered slapper here and a rubber mallet. And I've only hit it with a rubber mallet a few times to get some of these hard kinks right in here. So I have tried to move the metal back to where it needs to go without putting any more stretch in it. A couple of the mallet hits have probably given me a little stretch, but not much. Now, there's a stretch along this line, and I've outlined it, and you can't really see, but I've still got a depression here. So now I'm gonna have to start using the, see this here? It's what's called like an oil can. I'm probably gonna have to start doing some shrinking here. So now it's time for the real hammer and dolly work to begin. Okay, here's a little intermediate video. I'm working my way through, and this is going really well, which is good. What you can see here, where first we pushed things up, and it did pop quite a bit with a board, with a rubber pad underneath here, so that I didn't get any stretch, spread everything out. I did have to whack it a few times with a rubber mallet, kind of like in here. Now here, this is good. You can see what's left here as the low spots, and then I've gone over it with a sanding block to show me where the low spots are. You can see back here, that's a high spot crease. So what I did over on this side, and this side was exactly the same over here, I shrunk down that high spot crease first, and you can see the burnishing here. I've done some other shrinking just to initially knock some of the stretch out of those high spot creases. And then I started coming, you see I kind of hit it with a mallet a few more times, and then I came with the sanding block, and now you can see all my hammer and dolly marks. This is actually a dolly and a slapper, and I'm evening out the surface, and I can feel this is still just a little high here. You know, I can feel this is a little low here, a little high. We're gonna go over this with a big shrinking disc. See, when I feel that, I can feel the surface isn't quite right, but I mean, it is great right now. You could put filler on it like this, but we want to just continue to smooth this out. The gauges are fitting well. So this whole area is done with the hammer and dolly work and all of that. We're just down to shrinking now. You can see I've started to move right into here. And what I'm doing is I have this dolly on the bottom. All right, and I have this slapper on the top. And you guys have probably seen me do that a million times, and I'm just pushing up from the bottom with this dolly here, and I'm bringing the surface up, and then the slapping kind of puts it in place. But every one of these little marks is stretch, but just a little bit. And then over here, you can see I'm gonna do that here. So once I get the whole thing done, then we're gonna just go over it with a shrinking disc, and probably not get too crazy, and then just scuff it down and call that good. It's going to need filler no matter how perfectly we get it. But just a thin skim of filler up here is okay, like some high build primer. You can't have any real thickness of filler though. That is the kiss of death on a roof. And you also don't want to get any oil canning. See, this is, you can't press this down, but see over here, see that? That's oil canning, because I haven't worked this side yet. But this side's good. All right, so there's an intermediate movie. Okay, here's a video of how I bring up these low spots here with a dolly and a slapper. This is my favorite dolly. I've had it since I was a kid, about 19. I call this thing the comma dolly. You can see it's a compound curve like that. And this is my favorite slapper. It is actually a cheap slapper from a Harbor Freight door skinning kit. I have a lot of slappers. I have a lot of very expensive slappers. This one's my favorite. So here's how it's done. Okay, all the pushing back and hammer and dolly work, and you can see I used some shrinking as well, has all been done, and it looks great, and I think we could just move forward with it as is. But when I get back from lunch, I am going to, see this looks low here, but I did bring that up. I am going to hit this with the shrinking disc. Now, right now, there is no oil canning. And the whole thing is convex. You can't walk up to it anywhere and push down on it. You could get into trouble with the shrinking disc real fast by over shrinking this, and then you would have oil canning. So I'm probably just gonna hit this lightly and call it good, but then up here where it's tight and it is a little bumpier, I can really go to town with the shrinking disc here without getting into too much trouble. So that's the current status at the moment. And then I've got to kind of straighten up the edge a little bit and then straighten up that support piece and weld that back in. Hey, this is Chuck. It is Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I actually posted another video of this morning at 6:30. This was what I called today's challenge. This roof was all mashed in. I gotta tell you, I try to be modest about this stuff. People are calling all the time, sending emails, oh, you know, it's so great. And it's really just experience and working on the same car all the time, having the other cars around. This could be my greatest hammer and dolly work of all time. You gotta go back and look at the other video, and I'll post some other stuff and some pictures. I did take some videos of this going along. This was all mashed in. It is not perfect, but man, it is damn close. All right, so if you come on down here, you can see, if you get up in here close, you can see just barely where that crease was. And then there was one here in the middle, and then there was one over here. I didn't, you know, there comes a point where you've got to just call it, because if you get greedy, you will get into big trouble. We don't have any oil canning. If you press real wide, you got no problems. If you press tight, you can get a little bit there, but you can get that back here. So we're good that way. We put Brent's gauges that he made up in there, and that's a little tight, but it's tight in the corners. Take a shot of that, come around in there so they can see. That is just the way that that needs to be. And then with the top gauge, this one doesn't fit quite the same as it did on the car it came from, but it's not from the work we did. You can just see down here in the ends that it's just not quite the same. But that's, again, I could, if I trim this off some more and shove it down in there and just open this up a little, it would fit. So that's about the variance you get on these cars. That's pretty close. So, like I said, I'll post other videos. It's not done. We've got to put this back in there and plug weld that. We started to do that, and it was being kind of fussy, and I'm tired. I don't have the energy for this. So I'll throw some red oxide on there, and we'll do that tomorrow. This whole car is going to get sandblasted and redone, but like I said, the customer is taking all the panels and can do all the work, but was a little uncomfortable with this. So Mark, if you're watching, there you go. I think it's going to work for you. So thanks a lot for watching. Check out the other videos because I do show you some of the stuff in progress, and maybe it would help you do some of this type of work at home. Takes a lot of practice, but if you take your time, this is what you can accomplish. Thanks for watching.